You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. We have some special guests in the building.
Yes.
We have first Miss Erika Alexander. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good
I'm so
morning.
glad to be here. Good morning. Good morning.
And we tell Erika she's always welcome here, and we mean it.
You know what? I thank you. I don't take that for granted.
There you go. And who else do you have with you?
This is Lillian Ruiz. She's one of the co-founders of Civil, and it's a new blockchain company, and they're changing the face of media in news.
Good morning,
Good
Lillian.
morning.
Lillian.
Lillian.
Yeah, Lillian.
Now,
Sorry.
the Blackness.
Yes.
What is that? And how will it move the culture forward?
Well, listen, I think when I was here before, I talked about my company, Color Farm Media. Color Farm Media we're bound to, our mission is to do more inclusivity and diversity. Obviously, there's a lot of companies doing that right now. And we had an idea for the Blackness about a year and a half ago. We wanted to compete in news and current events, but really didn't know how. We knew we wanted to do it, but we didn't know how. And so we sort of put that to the side because people know me for film and television. Those things started to move a little bit more, started to set up projects. And then my business partner knew Lillian, and they had a discussion. And they were talking about a new platform, a blockchain company that they had created that was supposed to change how, it was supposed to decentralize authority and create new opportunities for people to do new things inside of news media. And we talked about it, and we partnered. They said, hey, we like what you're doing. We like the ideas. So the Blackness really is long-form investigative reporting for underrepresented communities.
So
First of all, what is a blockchain?
Oh man, we're gonna start that off this early.
Here we go, Lillian. Explain it.
Sure. So there's a boring way to go about this, and I'm trying to find the not boring way. But basically, the blockchain is just basic underlying technology for what people are calling Web 3.0. So the idea is that web currently, the internet right now, is poorly incentivized. You don't really know what's going where, who's doing what, who's profiting off of what. Blockchain is a really transparent approach to, being on the internet. So you can see all of these transactions. You can see like who's paying people for what things, who is doing what things, who's trading what things. And most people know blockchain because they've heard of Bitcoin, but that's just like one thing you can do on it. But basically, you can build just about anything upon it. You can create new currencies. You can create new stores of value, new types of power dynamics, and it's open to everybody. Whereas right now, like for traditional investment on things and traditional like power, you have to like kind of have money to get money or be involved in those sort of roundabout ways. But blockchain's all about kind of decentralizing power, and everybody who participates in it has kind of real power and a real voice.
Wow. And why is the Blackness so important?
Well, I'm wading into what you guys do all the time. And I bet you this happens to you. But after 35 years, people get to know you. Right. Then they get to see you over, spending time and sort of, see what you're at, where you're at. And they trust you after a while. They tell you all sorts of crazy stories about themselves because they want help. They want people to listen to them. So I've had this happen to me a few times, but I'll just tell you a quick story. So there was this woman that came up to me at your show at Lip Service. And she said, Erika, I want to tell you about what happened to my brother. He was a young football player. He took off one night on the advice of his doctor. He took evening walks for his asthma, and he never showed back up again. And they found him a day or two later, lynched from a tree. Now, we're not talking about back in the day. Hanging from a tree in clothes that weren't his own, in shoes that were 2 sizes too small, and they ruled it a suicide. And she says, I want justice for my brother. I don't know how this could have happened. Here we are in this town, this small town, and everybody must have colluded or a conspiracy, but why my brother? This is a guy who wouldn't hurt anybody. And what happened? He was going out with friends. What happened? And it just goes away. So I talk about the Blackness as being something to put, things glow in the dark.
Yeah.
I think Black people have always glown in the dark. That we found a way to make things matter when no one wanted to pay attention. But right now, it really matters. Our survival depends on our ability not only to tell stories, but for people to understand our stories. And news and media is critical. I mean, we're not talking about fiction or things that people make up. It's nice, Black Panther, and I love all that. But this is real stuff that's happening all the time. There was another young lady that came to me, and this was years ago. I was in Los Angeles, and she and her sister said, we're hoping that you can host something for us. We're trying to raise money for our sister who was burned alive in the middle of the street in broad daylight near Baldwin Hills. Now, this is a woman with no natural enemies, a young woman with, a graduate. What do you mean she's burned alive? And their idea was, if we can raise enough money for the reward, that will open up LAPD. We'll have to look at it. Maybe there are new clues, and they'll find a way to bring some sort of closure to themselves, or at least they tried. I don't know where they went. I agreed to do the fundraiser, and it just went away. Again, just disappearing. And this happens all the time, and it shouldn't happen, because what happens in those communities has a huge compounding effect on the so-called minority majority that owns a lot of the money and the power. Right now, the funnel is like this. If you look at, say, a huge news organization, one person, one man, usually a rich billionaire, has set it up, and it goes like this. And his mission, or his, the way he wants news to be told, who he wants to tell it, how he wants it to be told. His agenda, thank you. It goes like this. But we want to flip the funnel and say it should be like this. The power to the people, literally. Give it to the people. Let people have this token economy, and then go get to the individual, and then you have a stake in it.
That is so true, because there's so many people who felt so helpless about stories and things that have happened that are important to them, but they don't know how to get to the media to get the attention so that their stories can be told, so that there can be something done. All the time people hit us up like, this happened, and here's some video of what happened, and the police pulled me over, and this happened. Even just watching that story about the off-duty police officer who shot and killed someone and went into his apartment, and the story that the news tells might not be what really happened, but then things just go away, like you said. Sometimes we hear about something on the news, even sometimes just locally, and then that's it. That's the end of it.
No, they're desperate. They're desperate for anyone to pay attention. They're hoping that you can use your platform. Of course, you don't have time. You don't even have, the capacity. As much as you can do and bring a light, it won't happen. But there are new ways that people are using new types of innovative technology to set up. And so this newsroom is huge. It's not a small thing. Their CEO, who is one from NPR, from BBC. These are the people who are coming together to make this happen. We're a small newsroom on it called the Blackness, and that's Color Farm's doing. And they're giving us, a space to do it. But remember, we're carving up digital space. Right now, the space has been flat, and we've been living in a flat era. But the truth is, because of digital, you can carve up different universes, and people can go and find things, and people also can be held accountable. And there can be a culture. They have a constitution. They have a way to talk about integrity, transparency, in a different way than ever been discussed before. Right now, you turn the TV and you get what you get. But here, you have a stake in it.
Yeah, and it has to be trustworthy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, stories like the ones that Erika is telling, the ones that the Blackness wants to tell, like, they don't, the media is not interested in hearing these stories right now. Or if they are, they want to put it in a really niche, very specific place. It's like you can go have it. You can go have this story that's about you and your community in this little corner. It's not worth being available to a wider audience. And I think what we're trying to build together is a space where that can't happen, where essentially, the value of a story is valued by how good the story is, how good the reporting is, how good the information is. This is stuff that people need to know about. So we're trying to create an undercurrent of a community that can really, help to amplify these stories, but B, to really show and prove and be there as individuals and saying, like, the stories we want to hear matter, and we have a power store here, and we're going to create this, and we're going to support this kind of content. So it's a way to make sure that, we're represented in the media.
And a trustworthy outlet, because that's my biggest thing now. It's like, I don't know what to believe on social media no more. Yeah. I really don't. I see all these different stories. I don't know what's real, what's not real.
Right.
Yeah.
Lynn just said that. Yeah, it's like a free-for-all. I mean, listen, if to some extent that'll always be the case. I mean, everybody now has more of a voice because anybody can get on the internet and anybody can have a say. Everybody's an op-ed editor of their own, and that's a shame. And you can get an audience based on lies. In fact, you get more. But we're hoping that it won't just be media that changes. There's a transformational shift that people will want. They'll see that that power really relies on the best version, not the best version of information, but the best information. And that truthfulness is actually not only a road to power, but a road to money, a road to influence and all that. Right now, it just seems like it's a playtime and it's wild, wild west.
I wish it was set up like right now, because I feel like we don't have no energy around the 2018 midterms, and I don't think all people know how important the midterms are this year. You know?
Yeah.
So I wish we had an outlet that was telling everybody who the different candidates are, who we should be voting for this year.
Because I love that we have more diversity in who's running for offices, but we have to make sure that we get out and vote and that we continue that cycle, and it even gets even more broad.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree. And I don't think, the Blackness won't be publishing by midterms necessarily, but I do, Erika has a tremendous voice that she's using, and obviously is already telling people about all the stories that the Blackness is telling. And I think just people using their voices to really talk about the midterms on a regular basis. Like, Erika was Hillary Clinton's most widely traveled surrogate, if there's anyone who's qualified to be talking about what we should know and where we should be going for information. It's definitely Erika.
But it kind of worries me that you say that, because I spent a lot of time with Ayanna Pressley, who won in Boston, and Stacey Abrams, and then you have Marilyn Mosby, and you have these really strong candidates. You have now Andrew Gillum. And the fact that even now the people could be disassociated with it when they know what the stakes are, when they're living through this, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know what to say. And I would just ask, you have such relevance and such power, whatever solutions you have, to please get in touch with those candidates and let them know they would be happy to hear from you.
Oh, we amplified Andrew. We had Andrew on, back in February.
No, but I mean, you probably have ideas about what could be done within their campaigns to reach, obviously, that's the most wonderful part of you. They are getting a FaceTime here in a space that they wouldn't normally. But I actually think that they also need strategists in those rooms to talk about how, because people don't listen to commercials. You're not going to get to them in a commercial way. So what things that they might, how can they try different things differently? So things that might make them feel uncomfortable, that you say, no. Put yourself out there like this a little more. It may work. Because I think you'll find in at least Stacey and Ayanna, people who will do it. Just as a test monkeys.
Right.
I didn't mean to say the word
No,
monkey.
not monkey.
No, monkey.
But but I'm black. I'm black.
I can
You know what I'm
say
saying.
that.
No. Test gopher, okay? A test gopher. Please.
How do we make sure people consume and really get the information? Because that's the most important thing. A lot of times people just see information and be like, nah, I don't want to deal with it, or nah, I don't want to see the news, or nah, I'm not into that, until it's too late. How do we make sure people can consume it on the right time?
Well, I'm of the theory that people don't read as much. And they've kind of dropped off. They consume, they look a lot, but they don't read enough, and they've actually outsourced their thinking. So we have people who are hard of thinking, not hard of hearing, hard of thinking. I'm trying to make sure that they can get this news in any format that's possible. Right. So whether it's graphic novel, whether it's an audio play, whether it's an illustrated version, musically, would be nice to hook up with people like Questlove, who's a great historian of music, to maybe tell us about the migration of blacks from the South to the North, and then, of course, the diaspora. Wouldn't that be interesting? Whatever we can do to get them to show up, then we can maybe, while they're sitting there, we, smuggle in something that they need to know, and then they realize, hey, this is fun, or more importantly, this is important information, and I feel smarter for it. When people feel like they have engaged in something and it went down easy, wasn't hard, then they'll come back. So I'm hoping, to your point, that you're right. It's difficult to get the information out there, but we need to use every form we have. And I'm an actress, and I think that you can perform differently.
Yeah, it's hard to get people to gravitate towards things that don't have the cool factor around them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do you wrap up this information in the cool? Put the candy in the medicine. Or put the medicine in the candy, so to speak.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
like
it's
you give your
I
dog.
think social media too, with like posting different clips maybe where people can express themselves, because people consume things also, I feel like, sometimes in bits. Like everybody's on social media and scrolling through that. They spend hours doing that every day. So if there's ways to infuse that somehow, and that's kind of our responsibility as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different ways to do that, and I think what we're doing between, Color Farm and the Blackness and our platform Civil is we're trying to find those ways to make knowledge and engagement not just powerful but valuable. So, consuming the Blackness could go ahead and launch wherever it wanted on WordPress or whatever. Just get a www and that's it. The reason the Blackness came to Civil and the reason why this was so exciting is because we're trying to functionally change how people engage
Right.
with information and the internet. And we're trying to do that through blockchain. We're trying to do that through cryptocurrency. And we're saying to an everyday person, like, you know, you could use money at any point for anything, or you could use it in a way that actually reflects that you as an individual are someone with opinions, and that you're someone who is valuable, and you're someone who can have a powerful voice in how media is created and consumed and distributed. So that's what we're trying to team up to do, is like, what's that intersection between important storytelling and technology to actually create a way for people to have real, tangible, visible power.
And by the way, we're not doing it alone. Our idea is to create a distributed network of journalists. And it already exists with the National Association of Black Journalists. And you also have HBCUs. They have great communication programs. They have community colleges, you know, to act as research stories, but also to source stories, to also do the stories, and then get advisors and editors, people like that who can help make sure that there's quality controls and that we're really doing news and not just, you know, satisfying our own sort of, you know, I don't know, again, becoming like I said, the funnel down.
Right.
So I think that that's, to me, the most exciting thing. I've always wanted to work with HBCUs and community colleges especially, because I think they're left out of a lot of things.
I don't think we work with HBCUs enough. You know what I mean? And that's I went to Hampton. I feel like we don't have a program for students to get them in the industry and help them out. You know, I go talk to the schools, but I don't see that as much. We need to do that more, you know, especially for our HBCUs.
But why not? Do you think, how does HBCUs are left out?
Well, I'm doing it more and more with Hampton, but it was the last 2 years that I really started. You know, since I graduated when I was 21, 22, I haven't really had a chance to, because I feel like, especially with the HBCUs, I don't think they necessarily looked at the arts as important.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? I didn't think that they looked at music and, you know, acting. Now that it's so big in the last 10 years, even more for HBCUs, now the light is on it, and now they want more of those students to come back. But before that, I didn't see it as much.
That makes sense. I mean, if you think that people are pushing film and television and entertainment on those particular students, which they would, because we're always the preachers and we're always the front men, and it's been a place where we've really excelled. You may want to de-emphasize that when you're at those things and really talk about law and
that's the
those
thing.
types
I
of
always feel like a hypocrite when I do that. I feel you 100%. I always say I don't want to say discourage, but let kids know there's other options out there other than athletics and entertainment. But I always feel like a hypocrite because I do radio and TV and everything else.
mastered it.
But when I went to school,
the strength
they
and
looked
power
down on that, though. When I went to school, they looked really down on the arts. They wanted you to be a lawyer. They wanted you to be an accountant. They wanted you to go into Wall Street. That's what they pushed you towards.
Because I think sometimes people feel like this isn't like a financially viable business, not an easy thing to get into. It's not like you can just get a degree. And I think it's the same thing for anything, but for some reason, like even for parents and older people, they don't look at this as something that financially is like, okay, they are kind of nervous that you do this and
Absolutely.
you're going to be broke.
Yeah, you know what? I for years didn't realize that I had a thing about being an actress. Maybe because my family really emphasized, you know, going to school, and I only had gone to high school, so I think that I felt in rooms very intimidated by anybody who had gone to college. And I was at some therapy session. I don't even know what the heck. And she said, "You're an actress," and I said, "Yeah, I'm an actress." And she said, "No, do you know that you're an actress?" Like, I don't know how it came up. I stopped and I literally started to sob. This is in my 40s that I've had this experience, because I realized I had never embraced it. That somewhere in my mind I had seen it as less than. And so I always tried to talk about other things I was doing, and, you know, and just trying to, because I didn't even know that was like that. So I left the therapy session and got in my car and literally couldn't drive home. I sobbed for 20 minutes, saying, I'm an actress, and sort of accepting that, you know, and realizing that I had not really claimed it, because I had been discovered in a basement theater, and it sort of came to me, and it was sort of something that I did, and sort of said, okay, I'll keep doing it. It seems to be happening. But I wanted to be a scientist. I was accepted into NYU, and I thought, I'll be a scientist. I'll get the cure for cancer and all these other things. And in my mind, I'm always saying to people, I think I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go back to school. But that's, and I may. You look at me, even now, I'm like, I'm going to go back to school. It would be great. But I didn't know how much I had discounted my own career.
So you thought it was just like a hobby or something, or you was looking down on actors?
I thought I got lucky.
Got you.
I thought
You
that
didn't
there were
realize
other
the hard work that really comes with
Nope.
it.
I kept thinking I'm getting lucky, and let me just keep going. But I didn't think about acting as being a real career. And it's nice when people say, hey, you do it well, but then you think, oh yeah, but I want to do something that's really going to put me to task, because I didn't, because it came easily to me. I didn't think it was any hard, and I thought I'm going to have to struggle for something. But the truth is, when you're in the black community, often a degree is held up really high, and if you say you're an actress or a DJ or what, people might go, oh, because it just seems like anybody can do it, which is not true
at all.
This makes sense now, because I can see you on set in between takes reading everything when you was coming up.
Yeah. You know what? I've always been curious. I've always loved to read. I've always loved to listen. I think I try to listen more than anything. And if people tell me to go do something or read something, I'll go do it.
Right.
I mean, I don't need to shuck and jive. I don't need to second guess, because I believe that people who are successful really do have a blueprint. So I'm grateful that I think the best part of what I have naturally in my personality is that I'm curious. I love to be recommended to things, and I feel like my survival as, again, an actress depends on me being able to reflect my community, but also what it is to be human. So I have to be open to everything.
And you have a platform that you use actually to help do other things that are better for your community also, and I think that's important too.
I hope so. I mean, I think in the end, I do know that a lot of the stuff makes me feel good, and it is, and it can help the community. A lot of things I'm making up as I go, and I'm faking the funk.
So what's the ultimate goal y'all hope to achieve with the company?
I mean, for Civil, I think our ultimate goal is to create a new pathway to the internet and information that actually is supported by and supports individuals. Media right now is broken.
Yes.
It's super broken. So, and it's super centralized, and we think that all the incentives around it and the way that it's powered all needs to be flipped upside down. And it's putting, people at the top. So we see, 5 years from now, we hope that it's like when people are going to look for trustworthy news, you're going to be like, oh, I could go to the internet, or I could go to civil.com, or civil.co rather. And you'll find places like the Blackness, and you'll find stories from places that don't get any sort of play, any sort of airtime ever. So that's what we see for Civil, and for the
Power
Blackness,
to the people.
I think it's gonna get
That's what's up.
Blackness.
Power
I
to
hope
the
is
people.
bigger than the Root, bigger than Blavity, bigger than everything.
And hopefully in
together.
partnership with them too, which
Yeah.
would be nice, to gain partnerships with people who are in the space doing well, and to learn from them.
We thank you.
No, I got a couple more questions.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask Erika, what did she think of the whole Jeffrey Owens situation?
Oh my God. Okay. So that's like, let me first say how classy he is. I didn't really act very much with Jeffrey Owens. My character was sort of, positioned with being near Tempest's character and Malcolm's younger. And it didn't come up. But I always admired him. He was great as Elvin. It's a fantastic job he did. It's so hard. People don't know to walk that line between playing almost dumb and clueless. But he's supposed to be a very smart man. He was a lawyer, whatever he was, doctor, excuse me. And he was great at it. These, again, talk about going off into the blackness. What happens to all those performers and stars? What happens when there are no roles to really sustain them? That happened to me, where for a very long time I wasn't working, and I had never even signed up for unemployment insurance till after I was 40, and I needed it. And they were asking me a question on the phone. What else can you train for? What are you doing? And the woman was really nasty to me, because she didn't think I was working hard enough. Like, why aren't you going out there and getting retrained? And I said, well, ma'am, I'm an actress, and I don't know. I mean, she said, well, you can be a barista, can't you? You can be this. And I said, I guess I could, and I had nothing to say to her, and I felt so ashamed. Because I didn't think that I had any leverage anywhere else. I said, I don't even know what to do past acting. And so when I saw that picture, and there it was from an angle on his stomach with the, stuff on it, because he'd been working all day.
Right.
And he was doing his job, minding his business.
Right.
And I know the woman probably didn't mean any harm. She was like, oh, there's blah, 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 Elvin for whatever. But I think if you've ever been famous in life and you're going through a downturn, and the wheel hasn't turned yet, you don't know how to tell people, I'm not successful because I'm not trying. I'm not successful right now in your eyes because there's no parts for me. So I'm doing what I need to do. And this is success for me. So when you go to bankruptcy court, like I did, and you're walking through the door and the security guard looks at you and say, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool, girl. You'd be surprised who come through here because he can see how quiet I am.
Right.
That's rough. And I have many friends who've gone through that. But we don't have those conversations. What happens is usually performers and celebrities, they become preachers. Why? Because it's the easiest thing if you put on that shroud and people can't say anything. Yeah, I gave it up for the Lord. Oh, did you? You know, I gave it up. I didn't give it up. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how you can explain how you ain't in it no more. I mean, and I get it. Yeah, so that's how I felt.
But you know what, too, and back to the conversation we had out there, I think a lot of times we get money and don't know what to do with it. Don't know how to invest it. And it's not, I don't want to say it's not our fault, but it's not our fault. That's how we were raised. That's how we were born. My mom and dad didn't teach me how to invest. They didn't teach me.
No.
You know, and I think we need to, you know, open up more and for people that are successful doing it and see what they're doing with their money so we can all learn from them, you know?
That's what I liked what you were doing when I was talking to you about how you talk about flipping real estate and that it's important that the information is out there, whether people use it or not, or use it as an excuse as to what they can't do. But you're right. I had nobody telling me how to save $1. My mother, her idea of helping me was when I started to make my first little money. I was 15 and I got my check. She said, I don't want anybody having access to that money but you. So there was an ATM card. This is the first time it came out. She said, this is how you can get your money. To me, it was fun time.
Right.
I wanted to take all my friends out, show them that I hadn't changed, you know, that type of thing. I didn't buy anything expensive or anything like that. I just wanted to do things for people. Right. And it so slowly went away. But then, you know, you get another job and there it is again. And then I had my first money managers and they took my American Express card by that time I got, and they cut it up in front of me. And I said, what are you doing? How many it's a veggie? And they were saying, so you don't spend anymore. But they didn't tell me how I was spending or why. So I just found another way around. And again, I wasn't doing this on purpose. I just didn't know how to talk about money. If somebody asked me for something, I gave it to them. I thought it would be replenished. If I didn't have it, I didn't have it. But the truth is, I was spending money like there was no tomorrow. Right. And there was no tomorrow. Right. Today was it. And I really wish there was much more, not in money management. It should be 12 through kindergarten through 12th.
I always
especially
say that
for
they need
people
to
of
teach
color.
that about
school,
finances
absolutely.
in school when you're growing up, about investing, about
taxes.
Taxes, everything.
Did you feel that way because you felt like things were coming to you so easy as an actress? Because you was in work, had a lot of work.
Had a lot of work. I was following the golden rule, give 10% away, that type of thing. So they said, oh, you always have something. And in a way, I always did. But, I didn't necessarily always have money.
Right.
You can always have access. Maybe all people will be kind to you, things like that in the place of it. But, when it all started to go away, and I got also sick, after a while. I finished living single, went through a period where my anxiety was making me have colitis. And I was losing weight and couldn't really work the way I wanted to, and no one knew that. But the truth is,
that cortisol going off in you.
Yeah. Just firing, panic attacks, looking crazy, didn't know what was going on. Probably, all sorts of stuff that I didn't understand, hormonally imbalanced. But no, I was doing the best I could. No, I didn't think it was probably a spigot, but I always thought that my ability to earn would be there, but also I thought I had done enough successes in life that people would give me jobs. That wasn't true at all. In fact, they just stopped completely. In fact, I didn't know, and I think I told you before, I got dumped by my agent at 38 because they didn't think that I had any value anymore. Now, that's right around the time that an actress of my, if I'm not going to be the ingenue, meaning if I'm not going to be the girl that you save and vulnerable, but if I'm going to be the hard-charging lawyer, the DA, or the judge, or that type of thing, that's right around the time you start to get those roles. That's right around the time they drop me.
Wow.
Yikes. I saw you tease that Living Single was possibly coming back. What was that about?
Yeah, that was playing around. I shouldn't have. People took me serious.
Everybody
People took me
hopes up
serious. I
for
know,
no
and
reason.
I was kidding.
That's awful. Here's the thing, and I try to open up my thinking around this. I said, people really like that show, and I loved doing it. If there were right conditions, perhaps I would rethink it. But the truth is, it's so hard to get momentum in your career and feel like you're going forward. And for me, because the role is so, connected to a look, even the hairstyle and all that, people say, oh, you can wear what hair you want. I said, no. I have to think about how she would have, come after all these years. And it would certainly be a natural style or that type of thing. But I want to look at my career and say, I had the courage to move forward, even if it cost me money. Even if people didn't necessarily understand, you can make a lot of money. People want to see it. Yeah, but why don't you take the same cast and do something totally different? Right. We can do other things. We might surprise you. So we'll see. But no, I've said I didn't necessarily agree with it.
How did the show within a show on Insecure come about? Because I know Issa Rae loves you, so how did that?
Yes.
Oh, that came out of the blue.
That is so funny to watch. It's so
Isn't it
random
weird?
every time. I'm like, this is hilarious.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, she invited us to come on. Bill Bellamy I'd never worked with but known. Darryl Bell I'd never worked with. And they said we're going to do a sitcom within a sitcom. I love wacky things. When people tell me stuff that sounds really difficult to explain, I say, oh, that's just up my alley. I don't know what it is, but let me come on and do it. And they were nice. They couldn't be nicer. And again, they could be doing that in other shows for other actors, and including them. They did a show within the show, and HBO was very smart. They actually made a fake web page for the show. So if you go there, and you'll find it. It was actually freaky, but Issa Rae is a really cool young lady, and I had agreed to do her show when she was doing it with just a camera and friends. Somebody asked me, what did you do her show? My friend has a show, and I said, sure, can I see the script first so I know what I'm doing? And then I never heard from her later on. Found out she got a deal, and she was moving forward.
Dope.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate
Thank
you.
Always
you.
a pleasure, man.
It's my pleasure, and appreciate all that you're doing, and congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
Wonderful to see you guys grow
Thank you,
and
Erika. Thank you,
nurture the
Lillian.
world.
It was great to have you guys up here, and we can't wait. When you launch, let us know so we can make a huge deal.
Yes.
Oh, thank
Well,
you.
several
And
got
please,
car
people should
wash
go if they
today,
were
so-
interested in go to colorfarmmedia.com, and people are asking how they can submit stories or be a journalist or whatever. They can go on there and they'll see a big button and they can click on it.
Great.
We'll do our
I
best
might
to
have
get
some
to it.
stories.
All right.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
Well, it's the Breakfast
you.
Club. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Thank you.